I'd like to welcome back my guest today, Katie from the United States. We interviewed her a month ago and she's got an update for us. Thank you for joining us, Katie.
Thank you for having me. I had to write you. It was about 2 weeks maybe after we talked initially. I had that weekend after you had said something like, well, people who have fibromyalgia often have split dosing, which I had been trying, but I was dividing the dose in half. And you said, well, often they, use the full dose that works for them the best. And that dawned on me like, oh yeah, it clears out of your system. That makes sense. So anyways, I started researching again, and I went to your site, ldnresearchtrust.org, as well as ldnscience, I think.org. And I just got different, people's kind of articles about it and posts. And there was one specific doctor that had actually talked about it. I think on the radio show, and his name was Dr. Johnson, Brian Johnson, in the States. And so I thought, what the heck, I'm going to email him and see what he has to say. And he responded to me, which was cool. And he just told me what he normally does with his patients. So it wasn't like he was diagnosing me or whatever, but at least he could give me some guidelines, which is one of the things that I'm missing here where I'm at. I live in a rural town in Michigan, and I have a sweet, GP doctor who agreed to try the LDN with me, gave me 1 month. And then when I came back telling him these wondrous stories of how I was doing much better, then he has given me a prescription ever since. Luckily, I had an LDN pharmacist in Grand Rapids, which is the big city from me, about an hour's drive, who also could give me some guidance. But other than that, I'm not able to get a ton of specifics for myself. So I use your site, and I actually recently purchased and started reading the LDN book too, which has blown my mind with a couple of things. But I want to tell you what happened. So after that weekend of research, and I was convinced that I should at least try my best dose. I went a little lower just because I was a little nervous, at a 3.75 at 7 in the morning when I wake up, and around 7, 8 o'clock at night. And I noticed a huge difference right away. I started on a Monday, the 19th, and then Tuesday, my husband and I agreed to go for a hike. For a hike in Michigan, by the way, is not like what a lot of people think. It's mostly flat through the woods, so it's not like I'm climbing mountains or anything. But I said 8 miles he wanted to do is too much. I'll agree to 6. Well, when he came home and he measured the amount we had actually went, it was 8 miles. So, normally after that, the next day I would be higher pain, even though I was taking LDN. I would have brain fog, energy. It'd be a rest day. That night, after the hike, I had to do my myofascial release. So it's not a cure-all. It doesn't totally knock everything out for sure. I still have some pain, but it's like manageable. But then the pain, basically went away after my myofascial release for about an hour. And I went to bed. I slept fine. I woke up the next day. I had energy to go for a walk with my friend. We went for 3 miles, which was to me amazing that I could do that the next day. Had a very productive day on Tuesday. Wednesday, I had 2 doctor's appointments. So I had to drive into town, so an hour away. And one was in the morning, like at 9 a.m. And the other one was at 4 p.m. So it didn't make sense for me to drive all the way home. So I called my school where I had retired from due to my fibromyalgia. And I said, could I come by? Because of COVID, I haven't stepped back into school since December 7th, 2018. 18 was my last day of teaching. I had to go on long-term leave, and then I was just so bad, I had to retire. So anyways, it was really cool walking in, and I had lunch with them, and then I helped, tutor a couple kids while I, was waiting to go to my other doctor's appointment. I thought, oh man, this will be a long day. I'm not going to get home till 6. I'm going to be tired. And I was, but not horrible. It wasn't bad. And they asked me to sub the next day for one of my teammates that used to teach with me, 6th grade. And I was so worried because I've tried subbing up here near to me. And the last 2 times I actually had to cancel because I just was that morning of really out of it. Well, luckily they understand. And the secretary, actually her mom has fibromyalgia. So she got it, and she said, here's the thing, how about, because they're struggling finding guest teachers quite a bit. So anyways, she said, you call me at 7 in the morning and we'll take care of it. No problem. You can cancel. And then she said, and we've got it worked out that if come lunchtime or whatever, you're not feeling well, you have to go home, we have somebody, a teacher aide that could cover the class. So that kind of took that pressure and worry off. And I had such a wonderful day. I had left teaching that 3 months that I had that 2018-19 school year. I was horrible. I had taught for 32 years. It was my love. I was like a mentor teacher. People would come and observe me, teach. I was a natural. I had good humor with my 6th grade kids, but that year was opposite. I just couldn't think straight. The fibro fog really got me, the fatigue, almost more so than the pain. The pain I had gotten used to kind of pushing through, but those 2 things laid me low. So when I left and couldn't go back, and I had thought I would, I felt really bad about myself as a teacher. I just didn't have a good taste. I felt like I was a really bad teacher. So anyways, that day was such a gift to me because the kids loved me. And, one little boy came by, hi, Mrs. Clark, it just reminded me that I was a good teacher, So anyways, so I'd been doing really well. Now that week was pretty active. So come Saturday, I did have a rest day. My body said, no, you're going to rest. And so I was a bit out of it and that kind of thing. But since then I've had really good days. Like right now, I think you can probably tell my eyes are clear. I can think, it's just amazing. I have changed my dose after 2 weeks. I started feeling again like it wasn't quite working as well. Like that was the same in the beginning of when I first started. When I got on a 0.25, I had a weekend that was like, I feel great. And then it kind of tapered off. And so, I started titrating up. But so anyways, I finally started reading the LDN book too. And I have it digitally. So, you can search. And so I searched fibromyalgia, but up came this piece about someone who had fibromyalgia, but they had complex PTSD, which I have in the past couple of years learned that I have. And I've been going to EMDR, which is a special kind of therapy, and talk therapy for it. And I'm, it's helping. But what it said there was in this talk about it, that people with complex PTSD tend to have these hypervigilant nervous system, which obviously fibromyalgia has. And it's my belief that because of my CPSD, I have fibromyalgia, and that my way of kind of healing is to calm down that nervous system. So that's my main focus. But they said that, in fact, if you start at, let's say, the 1 or even 0.5, for some of us, you're going to still look like you're having opiate withdrawal symptoms when you start it, which is, I had started at, I think it was 2 initially, and I was awful, like for 3 days. So it just kind of really validated, because I had people, there's, you know, the web's Facebook group that LDN Research Trust kind of has. And I would ask, and they're like, are you sure you're not using opiates? And I'm like, no, have never used opiates, you know, kind of thing. So anyways, it kind of explained why I had such an adverse reaction, and that going real low for me, 0.25 milligram, and then going very slowly, titrating up by 0.25 every 2 weeks was good. So anyways, I'm at 4 right now. And another thing it said in that same section was that they use 0.06 milligram times your kilogram. So of course I do the American pound, so I did calculate. And so between you know, if I do it that way, it's 4 milligrams to 4.35 milligrams is my best dose according to that. And so I thought, well, I'll try it at 4, and I have been doing better again. So I'm on my first week of 4 milligram. So I still feel like, you know, maybe I'm tweaking that sweet spot, you know, that they talk about. But the double dose at my actual comfortable level has been another life changer for me. So thank you for
amazing.
mentioning that. I wouldn't have known about that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, good. And you don't have to worry.
And I think I'm also looking. I said, I'm also thinking that, you know, it seems to be helping with my IBS as well as my my interstitial cystitis pain that I've, you know, had for 20 plus years. So I feel like it's helping overall.
Mm-hmm. Good. And as we were saying before we started, that LDN is something that you can't become addicted to. And if people would like to read the first chapter of the second book for free, if they put in Google Books into the search engine and then put in the LDN book, the first chapter is for free. So you can read the history, the mechanism of action, the pharmacology, everything that you need to know about LDN is in that chapter, and it's free. So, you know, if anybody out there is listening who is unsure of all the details, that's one way of getting that information.
Yeah, I had initially, because my doctor, again, well, one, he didn't know much about fibromyalgia, but the one medicine he knew to give me was Cymbalta. And I was really afraid of it. I had researched it, and, you know, I didn't want to, but then I got so bad, I was like, okay. So I went on it for 6 months, and it did help. But one, I wanted to get off of it. I knew that, you know, you can get used to it, and then you have to up the dose and up the dose. And I didn't want to do that. And I had a friend who had talked about her mom being on it for 2 years and then wanting to get off. And the brain zaps were so bad that she just stayed on it. And I didn't want to get that way. So I went through 3 months of HELL with it to get to withdraw from that. And what's so nice with LDN, you know, if I forget it, or, you know, I don't take it a day or whatever, it's not going to affect me. I'm not going to have the benefits of it, but I'm not going to have any worse than I would have normally and things like that. So,
well, it's amazing. Thank you so much for coming back and giving us a follow-on. Much appreciated.
Well, I just appreciate just everything you guys do. The book is giving me so much more information, and, you know, I'm doing everything I can to pass the word on. So it's nice. My GP, I sent him like some research from U of M because I'm in Michigan. So he's going to trust the University of Michigan study. And so he said, yep, he's now, you know, giving it to other patients, and he passed that research post to a fellow doctor. So I feel like I'm making a difference in this little niche of my, you know, my world here. So hopefully.
Well, thanks again then, Katie. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.